Today we will do a walkthrough of the Boathouse smokers, straight from Louisiana. So this is going to be my first thick steel offset. So this is actually my sixth pit, and it's been about 50-50 between pellet smokers and offsets. But this is the first quarter-inch steel pit that I'll own. So some of my pros and some of my cons may not be the same for others because I'm still learning this pit. But my most recent pit, I had a Yoder YS 1500, which was 3/16 steel, and it held temps great. It wasn't a bad cooker, but I had a lot of problems with it. I had several auger fires, pellet hopper fires. Had to replace the computer. So after I had to replace the computer, which was only after the third cook, I kind of said, screw this, I need to go back to cooking with real wood. So like many barbecue nerds out there, I find myself on YouTube a lot watching videos and watching all the different pits. And of course I stumbled across Mad Scientist's barbecue video on BoatHouse smokers. And I watched that video and got to really know it through that video and instantly was sold on it. I thought the quality of the pit, the price was unbelievable. And I just personally like the smaller companies, I guess, that build pits than really, going with the big name ones and paying a lot more and whatever. So, and there's actually people out there making 3/16 pits that cost more than this one, which is just amazing to me. I don't know how they're doing it, but they are. So good for them. So with that being said, being on YouTube a lot, obviously I started doing some research and couldn't find no videos on this. Just a few small clips from BoatHouse smokers themselves. Looks like it was like Instagram clips or something they just put on a YouTube channel. But other than Jeremy Yoder's video, there's really nothing out there. So really what I started doing was hitting their Instagram and their Facebook and just going back and looking at all the pictures and all the builds. And that was kind of how I learned about this company and this pit. So I guess that's what we're doing now. I gotta imagine with the exposure from Mad Scientist Barbecue that there's gonna be more work for these guys. So let's make some videos and help some people out. I'm not gonna give their info out, but Brandon told me what their backlog is, and I don't know if it's grown or not because of the video, but I know they got a healthy backlog, and they're gonna be busy for a while. So let's get some videos out and let's try to help these guys out a little bit. So kind of touching back on the backlog, I gotta assume that number is going to time frame going to grow because they got hit hard by the hurricane. I got some pictures and videos I'll throw in, but their whole street was underwater. They got no power still to this day. Sounds like it's going to be several weeks before they get power. So just keep that in mind when ordering. But let's get into the pit. So this is their 36-inch model. Somebody had, I don't know if it was Brian or Brandon, whoever does their Facebook, but somebody had posted on the Facebook, hey, I got 2 of these, be available in about a month. Basically first come, first serve. So right away I said I wanted one. Connected with Brian, got a hold of me, exchanged text messages, and we got the ball rolling. So this pit is a 1/4 inch thick steel. The firebox is basically, I believe you call it semi-insulated, so it's 1/4 inch plate. I think there's fire brick if I remember correctly, and then 1/4 inch plate. The door itself is 1/2 inch. Big, heavy door. I think, if I remember correctly, the door itself is like 120 pounds or 100 pounds. You can see I already got some fires burned in there. I seasoned it up last night when I got it home from Louisiana. And couldn't contain myself, so I had to throw some food on it. So of course the wife wanted some street tacos, so I put a bunch of chicken in there. We smoked up some chicken. Turned out amazing. Also did some burgers. My daughter is on a cheeseburger kick, so if you haven't had smoked burgers yet, you don't know what you're missing. Fully welded shelf up front. That sucker ain't moving. Got the rack on the bottom, storage rack. Other than big old wheels. It is a reverse flow. That's why you got the smoke collector right above the firebox there. Fully adjustable damper. So you can control the intake either with your door, or you got yourself some ball valves right here. So in transit, you can kind of see I already had to put some touch-up paint on there. Just went and got some Rust-Oleum high temp black. That was just from transit, from the straps rubbing. Fortunately, the roads going through Illinois are not that great, and this thing was bouncing all over the place, so the protection we had put under the straps fell out. Alright, so enough talking. Let's get into the pros and cons. So, pro. I just think it looks badass, to be honest with you. I really do. I just think it's a cool looking cooker. The build is amazing. I got a feeling this is going to be one of those pits that, like, if I wanted to pass down to my damn kids, I could. It's going to be here a while. That heavy duty firebox is huge for me because I live in Wisconsin. So if I want to, get my Wisconsin on and cook some brats in the winter, I'm going to need that extra heavy metal for that firebox. Another pro, and it goes back to that heavy duty firebox and the thick steel. I mean, when I got my coal bed set and got a couple of splits in there, this thing, it likes 275. I think it sat at 275 and just it cooked along there for the entire time I was using it, with not a lot of effort. Mess around with the coals a little bit, add a split here and there. I actually had to be careful. I really had to watch the fire because it's such a consistent temp that it was holding 275 even as my fire was going out. I won't say going out, but the coals were getting low. So I really had to keep that in mind and watch the fire. So got these two huge pull-out shelves, and I like the way they did this. They got it sitting just below this piece of steel right here, so you can't just pull it out. You actually do got to lift it a little bit. And I like that. I like that a lot, so it doesn't just slide out. You can pull it out pretty far too. Got it good and seasoned up last night. There's a smoke collector. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. We got some sausage hangers in there, which is good because I just bought a bunch of sausage from Crutch Market down in Texas. So we're gonna get some hooks. We'll hook the sausage right on there. All right, and again, it is a reverse flow. So there's the heat deflector or baffle, whatever you call it. There's the opening. There's the hole for the drainage, which they put on a 3/4 ball valve right there. All right, I'm gonna give a few. I don't even know that I want to call them cons. Like, I don't want to be insulting like that. These are more preference type things, really. And keep in mind, like I said, I only cooked on it last night. I seasoned it up. I had a fire going all the way till 1 in the morning. I was excited to get home and use it after spending 2 days driving down to Louisiana and back up. So I don't even want to call them cons. It's more personal preference. So these are probably things that other people won't even care about. Probably not that big a deal. It's just me learning to pit or again, personal preference. And I do want to, before I do get into those cons, I know I said I was just going to do that, but I want to give another positive. I really like the distance from the shelf to the racks. I was able to use it last night. You can put your pan of food right here and open the doors with no problem. It's not going to knock it off the rack. So they really thought that one out. I like that. So okay, let's a few things, personal preference. Like I said, they're not really cons, but I'm not a big fan of these thermometers. They're just, I know it's easy to see on here right now, but like, I don't know. They were kind of hard to read last night, even with light on them. So I may switch those out. I mean, they work fine, but I may switch those out for some Teltrus or something. So real easy to take in and out. You can tell it's your typical thermometer. So another thing, this is more me being a bonehead than anything, was the opening and closing of the door. And I think I seen in the Mad Scientist video when Jeremy Yoder went to close it, he did the same thing and Brian had to correct him. But the first couple times I was constantly kind of twisting this the wrong. Let's see, like even there, like here it's down, but I'm in the wrong spot. So you really got to get it in there. And same with this one. So that's not a con, it's just me being a bonehead. But it took me a couple of times opening those doors to get used to that. So this whole setup, I don't know if I like the latches. I mean, it definitely holds that door tight. It does, and they got a gasket on there too. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. Gasket on there and the cook doors. But those suckers get hot, obviously. I mean, you got a roaring fire in there. So I'm assuming they did that style instead of putting an actual handle through in a style like this, because that door is a 1/2 inch. So I'm assuming that would have been kind of a pain to do. So I'm assuming that's why they went with that. But again, that's just a personal preference thing, because I see a lot of pits with those. So another thing, again, not a con, but the location of the ball valve. And most people do this, but it's right here at the end, because that's where the grease is going to drain down to. But there's like no good way of putting anything there. You can't really put a bucket under it, because it's, you kind of, like what I did, I had a tin pan, a long one, and I had to overhang it to where it was there. I just wish maybe it was in a few inches. So what I'm going to do, I bought the wrong size, so I got to go back. I actually bought 1/2 inch instead of 3/4. But I'm going to put an elbow and then a pipe out. So then I'll just put a bucket right there with the elbow and the pipe out. Again, not a big deal. Firebox. Again, this is a personal preference thing. With a chimney, it was really hard to get the chimney in here and dump the coals without kind of getting my hand burnt by the coals. So I don't know if, I'm thinking I may take this rack out and just burn the fire right on the floor of the firebox. So here's the chimney I picked up, and it may be more of the chimney than the actual firebox. I may just be complaining to complain, but this actually has a lever on it. Let me back this up. It's got a lever on it. You pull that, the bottom drops out. So it was kind of hard to use that. So see, I'm kind of hitting, and if I had the coals drop, I almost burnt my hand last night. So I may have to do it at an angle, or just get a different chimney. I'm thinking I'll just get a different chimney. Instead of the tall ones, I'll get that low stubby one that's wide. But that was why one of my thoughts was just take that rack out, cook on the floor of the firebox. So another thing is the wheels. Some people love these big wheels, some people like the little red casters. I don't know. I mean, obviously you can see I took it off the driveway into the grass, so having these big wheels is probably the best, but it is a tank to move. What'd you say?
I said, Mom, you're a damn snake.
There's a damn snake in your boot.
Are you?
Shout out Chud's Barbecue on that one. My daughters love watching it. That's where they get the snake in the boot from. Ain't that right, Jocelyn? Where'd you go? So what are you hitting yourself for? That's definitely a snake in her boot. So again, personal preference, not really cons. This thing is an absolute beast of a cooker. I absolutely love it. Cannot wait to get it going again. We are going to hopefully keep making some videos so you guys can see how it cooks, and for anybody out there trying to look into BoatHouse smokers, because there's not a lot of videos out there. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to do the biscuit test. Got to do it, right?
You just said butt, Daddy.
No, I didn't say butt. I said biscuits.
You said butt.
I said biscuits.
You said butt.
So I think and not only will we do the biscuit test, but we'll do a smoked biscuits and gravy. Why make the biscuits and waste them, right? All right, so looking back at the last clip, I guess my daughter was right. I guess I said BoatHouse smokers. Sorry. But Or she called me on it. She caught it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap this up. So feel free to ask any questions. I just want to say a big thank you to BoatHouse Smokers, Brian, Brandon. I said boat that time, right? Did I say boat?
You said butt.
I don't think I said butt that
Yeah,
time.
you did.
BoatHouse Smokers. There we go. I think we got it.
No, you
So
said butt.
thank you very much to the guys down there. Something I didn't mention was since the road was flooded from the hurricane, because they're right on the St. Amite River. If I said that wrong, I apologize. And Brian was actually out of town delivering some smokers to Texas, and his son Brandon helped me out. His son basically came down the road with the F-250, hooked up to my trailer. We took it down to the house, got the smoker loaded up, and then we brought it back to the Kettle main road where I left my truck, my Durango, and loaded it back up because the water was still pretty high. We're not sure if the Durango would have made it without getting water in it or not. So that's what I get for trading in my truck because I had kids and got an SUV.
Yep, one's right here.
Yep,
The
one's
other
right
one's
here.
inside.
So any questions, hit me up below. Like, subscribe. Catch you in the next one. Say bye.